What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 17 of
We still
Spoiler
exist.
Alert. We still exist. I promise
here.
we didn't cancel the show. We didn't cancel it, I promise.
Hey, we're still here. We still have a show.
Well, it's been a while. It's definitely been a few weeks. Mixed, a few of us sick a couple weeks, a few of us out of town a couple weeks, but we just want to make sure you guys had a ample time to watch Akira.
Several times.
Yeah, several times.
I had to watch it several times.
Yeah, I know the movie and I watched it a couple times for this. So, for those of you just joining us, this is spoiler alert. We haven't done it in a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and give like a little rundown of it. Basically, every week. Every week we take a form of media like a movie, a TV show, comic book, something like that. In book club format, we go and watch it or read it, and then we reconvene a week later and then discuss it. So like a month ago it was Akira, but PAX South came up and things were just popping up. It's kind of busy at the beginning of the year. So this is our show on Akira. Then at the end of the show, we will reveal the next thing that we're going to review. And then you guys will have a week to watch that and then join us for the conversation. We will talk about this in its entirety, spoilers included. So if you ever wanted to watch Akira and I have it ruined for you, you should not watch the show. But if you have watched Akira and you want to be part of the discussion, please feel free to comment in the chat. Feel free to give us a call. We actually have a call set up on Discord for you guys to jump in towards the end of the show and kind of have a dialogue with us. Whatever you want to say. It doesn't have to be a question. It can be a comment. It can be whatever. And actually some of the best content we've made is when people call in and give us their opinions on things. So today's Akira, and that's what we're going to get into.
Yes.
But before we do, how you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah? You
Good.
guys feeling good?
Right.
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I wasn't sure we were going to be able to do it today because yesterday I was feeling terrible, and somehow right before my Value Town show, I was feeling really bad, and then all of a sudden I did the show, and then I was like feeling better, like all of a sudden. So
I feel like Ella was the only person who made it out of the PAX South unscathed. Everyone got the pox.
No
pox.
Everyone.
It's for once I was fine. Like, and I didn't even like, okay, so TwitchCon, I went with like a little squirt thing. I was washing my hands. I was being good, and I walked away and I wasn't sick. Thank God. And then I went to PAX South and I didn't do any of that. And I was like, for sure, I'm going to get fucking sick. For sure, I'm going to get sick. And I didn't. So, praise be. Because holy crap, I normally always get sick after going to a convention. So
yeah, I've gotten, this is like the second time I've gotten sick. It wasn't that bad. That Thursday though, I was fucking incapacitated, like shivering, sweating, coughing.
Oh my God.
Like my nose was just like exploding. It was like Niagara Falls, but it was terrible. And then Friday I felt fine. Like I just had a little bit of a cough. It was just like a 24-hour, just like
the virus kind of thing.
Virus thing.
Sometimes your body just needs to expel everything.
That's true.
Yeah, that's happened to me before.
True.
My body's just like, whatever you did, I'm undoing it. I'm removing everything from your body.
Usually comes out the wrong end though, but not my nose.
All ends.
All ends. Exactly.
Oh man, I you know what, I kind of wish we were talking. This is so left field, but I just got done watching like one of the last episodes last night. I wish we were reviewing that Drew Barrymore show on Netflix.
What?
Oh really?
Into whatever diet.
It's about
her. It's about her, and she's like undead, and she's got a family and stuff. Listen. I don't ever want to cover this thing, and I will veto it vehemently. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, it sucks. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad.
Why are you watching
terrible,
it?
man.
Wait, have you been following it, or you just watched like?
I was pretty excited for it to come out because I'm a big fan of Timothy Ellohime, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen him in a while, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. It's a Drew Carey. Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
whatever.
cute.
It might as well have been Drew Carey. Drew Barrymore isn't a terrible actress, right?
She's
pretty
always
good.
does cute movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, she does all right. And I thought, okay, this is gonna be kind of cool, like a new age Dexter kind of thing. Is what I was kind of thinking going into it. Like I've got a secret, I keep it from everybody, whatever. Oh my god, it's fucking horrible. It's the worst. Oh man, I wish we were talking about just so I could bash it all day, but we're not. We're not talking about that.
We haven't quite had a show like that. I mean, just a movie or a TV show like that where it's literally a roasting the entire time. Like we all just absolutely hated it. I mean, Luke Cage was close.
We could do a special episode where we just watch something just on purpose that we know is bad. Like my editor, because I do movie nights for my subs like once every 2 weeks. And we always watch bad movies because I like to get into a voice channel and just shit on a movie with them. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And my editor turned me on to this dude named Neil Breen, who's been self-financing and making movies since 2005. And they're about as bad, if not worse, than The Room or Birdemic. They're bad. And we watched one of them last weekend, and it was hilarious. We were fucking hilarious, and also kind of shocking and chilling in some ways because it's just so fucking bizarre and weird and backwards. But I'd love to do an episode of just something really terrible that we could
secrets revealed. Next week we're doing Santa Clarita Diet. Holy crap, man. I'm sorry. This is just a show where we talk about stuff and I just haven't talked to anybody about it, and I just wanted to get it off my chest. I didn't spoil anything. I'm just saying it's fucking horrible.
It's fucking horrible.
But I keep watching it though. It's one of those shows where you're in it, and so I'm done. I'm done. I'm fucking done with it.
All right, let's get back to Akira though. So Akira's our first movie or show that's an anime. And for me, it's actually, it's probably not my first anime movie since I've watched Spirited Away and In Princess, but I guess from at least recently, it's been one of the most recent anime movies I've seen, and I don't watch anime regularly, so that was kind of one of the cool things when me and Adam were talking about just starting spoiler alerts a long time ago. It's just and he brought up anime. It's oh yeah, that'd be great because I don't I'm not very exposed to anime, even though every one of my friends watch a ton of it. It's just I just haven't watched much of it, so this would be a great excuse for me to watch it. So Akira was the first, I guess, attempt at this. So that was pretty interesting. This movie is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear your opinions on it because here's the thing about Akira is it's not what I think represents modern day anime, really. Right. It's not what I think it even represents, maybe even early 2000s kind of stuff, or the 90s where it's Cowboy Bebop and all these other things that people really latch to. I guess I threw out Akira first because it's one of the last animes I feel and one of the first animes that actually cared about its art and actually cared deeply about the attention to detail in the animation. And when you watch after watching Akira, then when you watch other anime, especially more recent anime, I mean, it's got beautiful animation for sure, but it doesn't have that level of detail. It's almost how there's the Jap and I could be wrong about this, whatever, but I watched Last Samurai, so I feel like I'm pretty close with Japanese culture. Japanese people care deeply about the art that they, or the trade that they go into, right? If it's archery or calligraphy or whatever, it doesn't matter. They
things, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they really get into it, and it's everything to them. That's their life. This is how I felt the people behind Akira were in a mindset of this art is a representation of me or us, and this is this is the best we could produce with the resources that we had. And I just can tell there's a lot of love in the art, because again, it's all in the details that you don't see in today's anime. Now, today's anime is great. It's its own stylistic form, and that's cool. But I think it's a lot more money driven now. I think these seasons come out and everything, and people enjoy them, watch it. But if you look at something like Sword Art Online, which is considered to be a relatively successful modern day anime, and then you look at Akira, even though Akira was made in the 80s, it looks better technically than Sword Art Online. Now the colors and everything in the art has of course advanced, but the attention to detail, the actual,
I think the version I watched is, I have the Blu-ray, and I think it was color graded. Like they did it they
modernized
full over. Not modernized, but they just like cleaned it up, because it was shot on film, and so there's there's scratches and stuff, and so they cleaned it up. But still, it looks amazing. And I recently watched Ghost in the Shell a couple months ago, and I was just like, damn, dude, this looks as good, if not better, than Ghost in the Shell, which was made almost a decade later, I believe. So that was pretty cool, going back and watching it, being like, oh shit, I forgot how fucking fluid and colorful this movie is, and how fucking well shot, framed and edited the action sequences are, coherent they are. It reminded me of seeing fucking Fury Road for the first time. I was like, holy shit, I understand every single sequence of events that's happening visually, which is really hard to do with anime. Especially if it's a fight scene, or if it's car chases, which is a bunch of motorcycle chases in this. It's a tough thing to pull off in animation. They did a really good job at that.
Yeah, usually the most impressive part I thought was the motorcycle scenes, and given that it was done in '88 too, that just I don't have context because I don't watch any of the modern day ones, right? But just knowing, it's kind of like going back and watching Star Wars, or maybe my kids watching Star Wars now, or at least the Star Wars, New Hope, and just all the Star Wars that we watched in the 80s, and kind of imagining it, and they can imagine that was pretty cool. That I can't believe they did that 30 years ago. It's kind of like that for me. I can understand that it was very difficult to do back then. And those motorcycle scenes I think were amazing. Actually, I think that just what they did with the backgrounds, just the little effects that they do just to even create that sense of action, right? Was really, really great. And go ahead.
It's a sense of chaos. It's a sense of chaos, right? Like you can feel the chaotic environment just from the animation, just the kind of broken down stuff. But when an explosion goes off, like one of the scenes, a bridge breaks, and it's not just the bridge breaks and the cars fall and whatever. It's the bridge breaks and you start seeing people getting out of their cars, trying to run away, and
right.
They can't, and they're trying to, grab up the side, and they slide down, and this guy gets hit by a piece of debris, and you just don't see that kind of level of detail when I keep saying detail, but that level of detail when it comes to animation, you just don't, and it's crazy. I think my point,
they like to cheat it sometimes, especially in anime shows where they have a fucking grind. They've got deadlines and stuff.
Yeah.
So that whole classic anime where the background's moving really quickly and someone's jumping and they're kind of it's there's no real motion happening. It's just the background's moving quickly, right. So it makes it feel like they're fucking flying through the air and shit. Stuff like that. Especially with Dragon Ball Z,
I was just about to say
defender of that shit.
I knew you
Dragon Ball Z is defender of that shit. But I know there's a fan base for it, and I get it. But it's just shit like that. They didn't pull any of that except for maybe in the ending, but it made sense because there were actual psychic explosions happening behind him and shit like that. But you would still see debris floating.
Yeah, there'd still be little things on top of that.
Who's the kid that gets the powers? I forget. Takada.
Tetsuo.
Katana.
Tetsuo.
No, he's Tetsuo.
Yeah.
And then.
Kaneda.
Kaneda.
The other guy.
Yeah.
I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, me too, man.
Really?
I guess
How could you get them mixed up?
The names.
Just the names, yeah.
Okay. So I guess to kind of part of my point was this. I don't think is necessarily an accurate representation of what you might watch today, ChanManV, or it might not be. If I were to show you Samurai Champloo or something like that, you would probably get a totally different vibe. But me being a purist, kind of a purist. And even in the small amount of anime that I participate in, you know, I feel like you just have to watch Akira first.
So what you're saying is you're ruining all other animes for me by starting me off with Akira.
I wouldn't judge anime today based on the old stuff, because I think you're gonna get a different feel from it. You're gonna get a different it's going to be different for you if you watch something more like Attack on Titan or something like that.
Yeah,
I think I wouldn't, if you didn't like this, is what I'm saying, is I wouldn't discourage you from checking out some of the newer stuff. But the purist in me is like, you have to go I feel like having an appreciation for the art makes watching anime more enjoyable, at least for me. So when I look back in the 1980s and I see Akira and I watch Akira and everything, it gives me more pride to go ahead and watch other animes, because I see the process of which it came and sprung from, you know, like that's just kind of where I was at. But I really am curious, Chan. You know, usually we go like characters, whatever. Just give us your thoughts. I just want to hear your thoughts. Just throw them out there. Just go.
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, just right off the bat, the artwork is amazing. Like just the graphics, and like we were talking about the animations already. I think just through and through, like I felt like that was the first thing that just jumped out to me. It's like, wow, this is 1988. This is actually really impressive. So first off, secondly, I guess the plots, and I've kind of known this about anime. The plots are where it's kind of complicated, and sometimes they kind of go all over the place.
Very convoluted.
Exactly, very, very convoluted.
It starts off pretty, like the first I've watched this movie maybe like 4 or 5 times. And every single time I have the same response. The first half of the movie is brilliant and amazing and awesome.
Completely political.
And then it kind of falls off the fucking rails for me and gets really convoluted and like really slows down, like almost to a halt at some points. And it becomes a lot harder for me to like swallow the pill they're trying to give me, you know?
I know what you mean by that. Like the pacing of the plot. I totally agree that in the beginning it's like, okay, it's this, you know, there's this whole political, you know, storyline. I totally get it. And then there's this kind of weird mystical science thing going on the side. Then as the story goes on, or the movie goes on, all of a sudden that mystical crazy side takes over the movie. And I felt at the end it was just like not stalled. It just rushed through all these crazy things, you know, basically when Tetsuo just, you know, turns into this giant blob dude in the stadium. Then all of these things just happen all at once, and I'm just like, my brain is like exploding as to like
I
what the heck is going on.
I still can't tell you exactly what happened.
I know.
Movie, dude.
That's why I'm glad we're talking about it today, because so the first time I watched it, I remember the movie ends, the credits are happening, and my wife wasn't around because it was late at night. And I remember like thinking to myself, what the hell did I just see? Like, I don't even know what I just saw. So I was telling these guys that, man, I need to watch this movie again, because like I don't even like, I'm not even sure how I feel about it now.
You never escape that feeling. It's you never find any one way. Like, I liked it, I didn't like it, I understood it, I didn't understand it. It's always like this weird purgatory where you're just like, what the fuck did I see?
Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think that, you know, that part of it was a little, you know, it's not necessarily the kind of, you know, at least plot wise and how convoluted it was, not necessarily the kind of thing I generally like, but I kind of knew going into it, you know, having even played games that have similar type of things, I just kind of knew it was going to be like this. So I was definitely more open-minded and accepting of it. But overall, I mean, generally, I don't prefer that type of plot. But is this kind of consistent with a lot of animes, though?
I mean, it depends on the anime that you watch. Anime is very, very vast. I mean, this one was more of a supernatural kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of animes that don't deal with the supernatural or don't get that crazy. I think this specifically is exceptionally absurd. like I mean, it's I mean, there's not, I guess it maybe Evangelion, if I'm thinking about it, it maybe comes close to the, you know, kind of craziness that this is, and like the bio. Actually, I think Evangelion is probably the closest thing. But there's plenty of animes that have nothing to do with you know, like biological entities that infect you and cause
a really good director. He's dead now. Satoshi Kon did some pretty like mind-blowing anime because a lot of it wasn't like this type of anime. Like the first one I ever saw of his was Perfect Blue, which is, if you've ever seen Black Swan, it's basically a shot-for-shot remake of Perfect Blue.
Oh,
about an actress who starts to slowly lose her mind and sense of identity. And so there's a lot of dream sequences and a lot of fucking like red herrings and stuff, but it never actually, there's no supernatural entities. There's no sci-fi. It's like super contemporary. And so like, yeah, Akira's like a representation of the fucking bombastic sci-fi action type anime, but like it covers like, there's tons of different types of anime like movies out there that don't like Grave of the Fireflies is a World War II movie and nothing more than that. Like there's nothing else in it aside from the World War II setting and like the refugees and everything. But yeah, so Akira is definitely one of the, it's super fucking out there and it's crazy and weird. And
listen, if there's one people that can do weird, it's the Japanese, all right?
That's no question.
And they do it in spades in Akira and several other animes. I think there's definitely a fascination to the supernatural for sure in anime and most anime. You know, I think you can find something supernatural in a lot of them, in varying degrees. But I think Akira, especially, I think one of the things that makes it kind of stand out and kind of a cult classic is because it is so different. It's so weird, especially in the 80s. Imagine being in the 80s and this coming out, you know, back when fucking I don't even know, like Milli Vanilli was out. It's like we have Milli Vanilli and then like Akira, you know. It's
right,
like,
the timing.
It's like I know, that's what I'm saying though. It's like it's crazy, right? Like it's, you watch it now and you're like, oh, of course it's Japanese animation. Of course it's going to be weird and supernatural. But when it came out, this was something kind of totally new. And if you look at like Studio Ghibli and stuff, like Miyazaki, like you mentioned Princess Mononoke, you know, that movie, you see those elements in that, you know, like you see those supernatural elements and it gets a little crazy, but not crazy like this. It doesn't get like that.
It doesn't get this kind of crazy. All right.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, I mean, this is just.
That was I mean, like, I feel like the biggest fault I think I have for the movie is, well, I have two major flaws that keep me from admiring it as much as I'd like to. One is the characters. I don't like any of them. They're fucking horrible people and they suck and they never get redeemed. And then two, they definitely, I mean, it's based on like a fucking 5-volume book series. And so they had to condense the plot a lot. So I feel like a lot of that fucking weird convoluted shit that happens at the end is because they couldn't include enough of the details to really give you a sense of what's actually going on. So they had to really just kind of like trim the fat and just like try to give you as much information as they could in the runtime. And so those are my two biggest gripes.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, other than that, it's great. Like
I feel like, you know, everybody always talks about you have to read the manga, you know, and it's like, like, I don't have time to read the manga before the thing.
No one should have to read anything to be able to understand your art. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
If your art does not speak for itself, then like there's a problem with it. That's just how it is. Like the whole thing with Destiny not having a story when it launched, but you had to read their fucking manual to understand it. Like, no, that's not how that works, dude.
Well,
put a story. Put a story in the medium, and then I
think you can pull it off because I think Overwatch is doing an okay job.
I was just about to say, I think Overwatch is probably.
Yeah, but that's a different story because Overwatch is a multiplayer only game, so they have to build their story elsewhere. You know, like they put in details in the maps and stuff like that, little dialogue quips and shit like that. But like, it's different if it's like, whereas Destiny was like a straight up like it's multiplayer, but it's story based. Like you're moving through a story with a plot.
Yes,
and they didn't give enough information in the game. Like they just didn't do it because they didn't have the time.
I think the difference here is one of them is trying to be a story, one of them is not.
Yeah.
Like Overwatch isn't trying to be a story. That's trying to be a game while wrapping a story around it, a universe around it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like but this obviously is a story. I mean, there's no other way around it. There's no, you know, if we did, you know, the Last of Us or whatever, you know, that's, you know, they're wanting you. I don't want to have to read a side thing to understand what's happening in The Last of Us.
Exactly.
You know, so I do. It can be done, but I think when the focus is, I want to tell something, I want to show a story to my audience whether it be through book or, you know, movie. It should be able to be standalone. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in a good example of that was like Firefly and Serenity. I never saw Firefly before I watched Serenity. I watched Serenity and I thought it was an amazing movie. I totally understood what was happening.
The first like 10 minutes, they give you all the information you need.
Yeah, man. They just let
all
you
the
know.
characters.
Exactly.
Like
if you
like
missed the last movie.
Exactly. You did not have to watch that show to understand what the world was like and the universe and everything.
The Alliance planets fought, but they couldn't resist. You know, it's like but then I went back and I watched all of Firefly, and it was just supplemental, right? I think those things should be supplemental. But I agree with you. The characters in this in Akira are not likable. I don't know if they were intended to be. They're ugly. I don't like the animation, the way they look. Like the way they look to me is ugly, and I even find myself sometimes confusing certain characters because they all have
the girls look like the guys,
and Kaneda look exactly the same, except her hair is a little bit longer. They even wear the same red jacket for the first half of the fucking movie, dude.
Yep.
Like, that's always bothered me. It always bothered me.
Yes, it's bothered me too. And that's one thing I can say about the animation that I didn't like was that even though, you know, everybody had different different looks, it's like everybody's face was animated the same. It's like they all look like they could have all came from the same parents, like every character almost.
Are you saying all Asians look alike?
In that anime, yes,
all Asians in anime look the same. Oh gosh, I wouldn't say every character looks the same, but
not every.
Like the big corporate stooge dude was like super fat and clunky, and like the psychic children obviously look like fucking zombies. But it's like we're talking about like the human characters. A lot of them didn't stand out enough. I feel like it was just a matter of like I didn't really care too much like about the faces because that's what they look like in the manga. But to make the main character and then the girl that he spends most of the movie with wear the exact same outfit. Come on, dude! Like make her jacket green. That's all you have to do.
Seriously,
jacket green or something,
or make her a little shorter or something. I mean, she's like literally the same. Like, they're walking side by side, like in the sewers and stuff. Like I can't even tell. Like
the sewer sequence, they all dressed up like the staff, so they all look identical. It's like okay, well, that would work in this situation because they're trying to sneak in, but still.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and like the love story is really
there's not really one.
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. Like we're
go
supposed
anywhere.
to believe he cares about this girl, but there's really no reason for it other than he's horny. You know, he's just like basically like, you're hot. What are you doing? I'm gonna follow you.
Like, yeah, it makes sense because he's a teenager. So it's like, all right, he's a horny teenager. The biggest scene for me that like really just like hit home that I don't like these characters was when Tetsuo breaks out and steals his motorcycle, and then him and his girlfriend crash, and these dudes sexually assault his girlfriend, and then his friends come and they rescue him, and all they do is put a fucking jacket on her, and then they just sit there arguing about Tetsuo. None of them like take care of her. Like she's sitting alone in the background, having just been knocked. Her teeth were knocked out. Her shirt was ripped off, and none of these characters that we're supposed to care about are actually like giving her the time of day and giving like trying to take care of her after she's been assaulted. They're just sitting there screaming about Tetsuo breaking out of the hospital, and it's like it's just so like maybe it's a cultural thing, but it's always bugged me. But like I didn't have a problem with the actual sexual assault because like those characters are menacing. Assholes. Like they're no. The biker gang, they're fucking assholes. I believe that they would do that. It's just the response to that was so fucking backwards and like did not like. I just hated them. I hated fucking Kaneda. Hated Tetsuo. That's his girlfriend. He's just sitting there just screaming about his goddamn psychic powers and shit. Like, come on, man.
In their defense,
give 1/5 of a shit about your girlfriend for fuck's sake. Dude.
In their defense, though, and kind of in defense of the movie too, these are like wayward kids. These are not like the cream of the crop here. We are talking about the dregs of teenage society. These are juveniles, who we would see in juvenile detention or juvenile lockup. That's what these kids are. Like none of them really care about the school they go to. Everybody, mistreats the teachers and all stuff. But real quick, I just want to hit on this because this is one of those things in my mind I kept. Like I want to talk about this specifically. I'm so glad you brought up this scene because out of all the scenes in the movie, when I first watched this movie, I was a teenager, I think I was about 14 or 15 years old when I watched this. And I remember specifically the scene where she gets, sexually assaulted, basically. And I remember the impact that scene has had on me since then. And I remember thinking it was a weird mix of emotions because, like, at 14, like, you're horny as fuck. So you see tits and you're like, oh, tits. But she's getting, like, her shirt ripped off and it's not her decision. And then she's being punched in the face. And then you think, like, how brutal that is. And then it made me feel guilty that I was excited to see the tits. Like, it was a fucking crazy. But for, like, a 14-year-old mind, I remember my mind seeing that scene. And when I think about bad things happening to my fiance, or bad things happening to my girlfriends over the years and stuff like that, I've always thought about that scene. That scene has stuck in my head. How fucking brutal it is. Like they just expose, and she's so sweet. She's like the sweetest.
She's probably the only likable character in the movie.
Nice character in the whole movie. And but I guess the shock value of that, it made me appreciate it more because it was willing to have these biker gangs do biker gang shit, like fucked up shit. These, and it didn't hold back. And I think that might have paved the way a lot for the gritty things that I love. I'm always going on about that. In that darkness, because I feel like that triggered more of an emotional response in me than a lot of other things. And that scene specifically, every time I think about it, it's almost like a nightmare, like almost like I was there. Like it's weird, like it's really weird. But
so nuts. do you this is kind of so do you think the sequencing of that scene had even more impact on you? Meaning, what if they would have punched her in the face first and then ripped off her shirt? Do you think it would have had a different impact for you?
The nudity definitely brought it home. It was the fact that But I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Seeing the nudity first, and then you're like, oh, and then getting punched in the face kind of like just tears down whatever feeling you had, like instantly, right? Like it just shocks you.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering
I think if they would have punched her and then when she was down, took her clothes off, I don't think that would have really done it. It was the aggressiveness of it. It wasn't even. We know we say sexual assault, but it wasn't even sexual assault. It was just demeaning. It was just like they didn't grab her tit or, like anything like that. They just ripped her shirt off to humiliate him, to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Like it was about him.
I think they would have. I think they might have.
I think they may have as like an afterthought. Wow, we have this naked chick here. We're biker gang. We might as well, kind of thing. Like this will really bring it home. But it was about fucking with him. They were out to get him. They saw an opportunity. They pin him down. And then they do the most brutal shit to his girlfriend. And then afterwards, when it shows her face and she's like, her nose is all running and like
eyes are rocky,
her eyes are fucking puffy and stuff. It's just like, it's fucking horrible. It's horrible. But yeah, I think the idea that it wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to rape you. It was, I'm going to rip your shirt up. I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to make you feel helpless. I'm going to make you feel weak. I'm going to make you feel like you're not in control of this at all. We are, and we fucking hate you. It's the same thing that I like about, like Walking Dead with Negan. He does that same thing. And that's why it's so powerful with me. He does the same thing. He makes you feel powerless, and it's that, and it through all these actions. So yes, I agree. I think it's if it would have simply been like, oh no, they're trying to rape her kind of thing. I think, maybe not at 14, I hadn't seen that a lot. So maybe it would have still affected me, but it's different in this because I feel like the assault is more important than the actual, sexual side of it. And just breaking him down, especially in a time where he's very volatile, I attribute that as like step 1 or 2 or 3 in the climb to his fucking lunacy, is this happening to him and this happening to his girl. It's almost like he can't care about her. Because if he did, it would drive him fucking crazy. Because if that was me and somebody did that to me, I don't know how I'd deal with it. I'd be fucked in the head. Now, on top of this, I have psychic powers and shit. And I've been taken into some facility I don't even understand. Like, imagine the amount of pressure there, and then on top of the psychic shit he's getting fed into his head. It's like crazy. It's like a combination of things.
I think even more so, it's just like he's always been, in the shadow of Canada, and he's always been wanting to just affirm himself as, just equal at least to Kaneda. And then, he can't even defend his girl at this point, and he's having this happen to him too. I think that absolutely is part of tearing him down and putting him in a state where, just these powers can overcome him, right? And because if he was, if Kaneda had these powers or whatever, I don't think it necessarily would have gotten to that point, at least as the fast, where, maybe he would have gotten treatment, maybe he would have been a little bit more logical about it, right? But the fact that Tatsuo had so many mental or just psychological issues at this point, it just put him in that situation where he let it go out of control.
Yeah. There's other things that I kind of don't like about the movie because we're on kind of this vein right now. I don't ever understand Akira. Like,
that's what
the actual character Akira. Like it was an entity, it died, but then they put all its organs in a capsule and they kept it, but it still can infect people. I understand it's like a psychic power, but it's dead. So is it resonating? It's like there's a lot.
I feel like Akira needed to be more of a presence in the actual movie, and not just in the last 20 minutes.
This is where the whole you should read the manga. I was trying to get to that earlier. It's like when people say you should read the manga, I think a lot of the Akira part is probably explained in that, and that was the part I felt like was cut off the most. Was even what is Akira? Because is it because Akira has this messiah feel to it, right? Like this coming, definitely. He was on Earth at one point, then he comes back late, like obviously at the end of the movie in that feel. But he was a person, right? Akira was a person. They had body parts, they experimented with his body parts, but he had some kind of special power, or he was power. Yeah, that's the part I don't even understand, because the way the kids describe him is in a very, I don't know, it's like a very non-human way, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think he is?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't like whenever I've tried to explain this movie to people over the years, and I can never explain Akira well. Like, I just can't articulate it. Like, maybe it isn't there to be articulated. I don't know. It's just, it's a hodgepodge of like supernatural, but also like biblical and also biological, like it kind of, like where most things would deal with like one thing at a time. It's like all these things. It's like a virus, like most people would be like oh, we'll deal with virus. This is a virus movie, or oh, this is a movie about psychics, or oh, this is a movie about Christ-like figures, like that kind of thing. It's kind of has like all of it all at once. It's like they wanted to do everything. Like he might as well have been a fucking vampire or werewolf too. like it's like he was all over the place. It's like he's all these psychic and blah. So it's always so confusing and like all the experiments they did on the doctors, I think it all goes back to a driving thing. Whenever I think about Akira, I think about a driving theme, which is power equals corruption. That's like a big theme in this. And you see that theme pop up in many different areas. With the politicians, that's the easy one. The politicians who are super corrupt, they want, all their selfish, greedy desires for, Akira and other plans and stuff. The military guy is like the only guy with a good head on his shoulder. He's trying to keep everybody straight. But the politicians are getting in the way of him doing good deeds, or being able to work out problems. Eventually, just says, "Fuck you guys, I'm doing this anyways. I've got the military, you can't stop me." And basically, has a starts a coup. But like those guys, like all those politicians, you see them getting murdered and killed and stuff as they're trying to shove money into stuff. Again, the power that Tetsuo gets corrupts him ultimately. That power corrupts him. Just the Akira, that amount of power is a corruption in a way, and a biological corruption. It's a virus. It's like he went too far. So you got Tetsuo's attitude, which is I'm super powerful. I'm corrupted. And then the actual entity that's giving him this power actually corrupts him, like it actually changes him and causes him to have all this deformities and everything. And you see that theme, throughout. So if there was anything I could like tack on to Akira as a character, it's just like it is the ultimate form of disgusting corruption, like whether in the pursuit of science or power or even personal, like with Tetsuo, if it's a confidence thing. It's been overdone, it's been dissected, it's been ruined, it's been tampered with. And I think this ultimately forms the ultimate narrative, which is that Tokyo and civilization as a whole has gotten too corrupt. Even the community there, the city there is in a state of chaos and disarray. So it's almost like this movie's a warning. It's like a warning to people, like this is the lengths it can get to if the people, are so, power driven or they're so tunnel visioned on success. This is what it can lead to. That's how I saw it. So if I think of Akira as a character, I just think of the ultimate form of the bastardization of ambition, yeah, that's how I saw it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Oh, Nick, what do you think?
You do it now. No. you explain.
Oh, man. Nick, what's your take, man?
I don't fucking know, man. I mean, like, yeah, I agree with the ultimate corruption corrupts ultimately theme, but as far as like who Akira is, they just don't they have characters talking about it, but you never really get a sense of like okay, so he caused the explosion that destroyed Tokyo the first time, and that's about as much info as you get. Like, he's psychically linked to these children, and he's super powerful, and so they had to cut him into pieces and separate him or something to make him stop. I don't know. They never give you all the pertinent information. Yeah. It seems like they knew what they wanted to say, but they didn't know how to say it, and so it just didn't come through clearly.
Again, in limited time too. Maybe it is better explained in the manga.
I think that your explanation of it, Adam, I think is really good, and I could see it maybe in the first, like the first version of Akira, like that first one that I ended up destroying the city, right? Mm-hmm. I could see that happening, but at the end of this movie, he saves the world, right? He actually, well, we can talk about this afterwards. Like he ends up removing Tetsuo. Where he puts him is the other question, but he ends up removing Tetsuo from this world so he doesn't destroy this world. So he's not quite that. I wouldn't say he's like that evil that everybody's, that's inside of everybody or that's, corrupting everybody, as much as he actually is a, solution to the issue. He's during the entire movie, he definitely is the goal. Like Tetsuo is like literally just trying to find Akira to figure out what he is or battle him or something, for most of the movie.
He's fucking with his head.
And he's screwing with his head, so he's trying to figure that out, right, the entire time, right? Yeah. And the thing is like, is Akira actually screwing with his head, or is he just having crazy mental things too? That's another thing to really talk about. But for me, Akira, I don't know if he's the entire movie really exemplifies of him being that corruption, but he definitely is the epitome of the power, and what it can do. But then he's something else at the end. He's like a god or something at the end. I don't know what exactly he is at the end. So I don't know. It's like,
hell if I know. It's Akira.
Yeah. So you think about it,
Jesus style ascension going on at the end there.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like, is Tetsuo analogous to what Akira was the first time around? So is Tetsuo ascending to something else? At the end of this thing too. So yeah,
or maybe it's like really from his mistakes. Like maybe he's trying to right an ultimate wrong that he did, right? But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could be argued that Akira sees the city in chaos and decides that, he's seen this before, or he's felt this kind of emotion before. And so he's doing what he can to stop it. But in the process, he ends up actually creating a monster and then removing him, I guess maybe is kind of it. But I don't know, man. Again, this movie is a fucking
and
weird
then the kids,
movie.
like, let's just talk about the
and
kids.
Then the kids, yeah. I was just
like, what are they? I mean,
what are they?
What are they? Like, because Tetsuo runs into. I mean, because they make Tetsuo. At least they hint at Tetsuo. All this crazy power that's in him had something to do with running into that kid to begin with, and then they did these kind of weird things at the lab too, but it definitely had something to do with running into that kid, like with his motorcycle in the beginning. So yeah, what are these kids like? What kind of powers do they have? They're not obviously Akira powerful, or even what Tetsuo ended up being, because Tetsuo was able to was more powerful than the three of them together actually, if they wouldn't have gotten Akira. So exactly what are they? They're just special kids that have the ability, like, our powers combined, we can bring Akira back to this world. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Again, I mean, it goes back to me, that central theme of corruption, that even the government wouldn't be above subjecting children, even if they're special, to tons of experiments, and on top of that, isolation. They became puppets of the government basically, and couldn't even live out their lives. So there's that. But ultimately, I think I've always been a little confused about the kids, and I know I've gone online and read about them before. And I think even after reading, I was like, okay, like, I don't, why is their skin green? Maybe there's some anime fanatics out there way beyond me that can maybe explain the kids, but I don't know. I think honestly, it's one of the mysteries of the show, or the movie, is, did Tetsuo get his power from the kid he almost hit? Even at the beginning, when I don't know if it's the resistance or somebody is trying to run that kid through the streets. The reason he was moving, kind of out and about in the city anyways, was because someone was trying to, like, help him escape, I don't know. Diction, help me here. I don't know what the fuck to say about this.
We're going to have to take callers today. So callers,
we are gonna have to
go
take callers.
and join
All
this
I know is
channel.
they're fucking psychic and weird.
Yeah, listen. If you can give us some insight, honestly, if you're watching this show and you're a Akira fan, you can just, like, fucking give us the lowdown on these fucking kids. Please call into our show.
Part of me thinks they're, like, disciple-like. They're followers and believers of Akira, and because of that, they have this extra power to summon him, because they do have powers, and I think they made it clear in the movie that some kids, have this wavelength, like they have different wavelengths, right? And some of them, or everybody has this power, kind of like the Force kind of thing. And it's just a matter of, like, which wavelength you have. Tetsuo just happened to have a very similar wavelength to Akira. That's why he had some crazy powers. And the kids obviously had probably a above average, maybe way above average type of wavelength too, because they had their own types of powers too. But I saw them a lot more like disciples, that sort of thing. Followers that had powers and could summon them whenever he's needed. But
I think
why these three kids? Why these three kids and not any other kids? So
I mean, I did see that kind of, like, shepherd mentality, that teaching that they wanted to get to know Tetsuo and help him, help him control the powers, but Tetsuo was just so stubborn that he wasn't able to do that, and so they did everything they could to help, especially when at the end, when I believe the girl was threatened, Tetsuo grabs her or something. Again, it's been like several weeks since I've seen this movie, even now, since it's been a little while for the show. But I mean, the kids have always been kind of like this sort of and part of me just feels like maybe they're just there to be fucking weird. Like, maybe really? I know it sounds crazy, but, like, one of the kids looks like a young what's the show? Oh man, I'm gonna have to find it now. There, like what's his fucking name? It's a grown ass comedian guy. He used to be the host of Family Feud.
Oh, Louis Anderson.
Louis
Louis
Anderson.
Yeah, he
does.
You know, they had there was a cartoon of like little
Life with Louis.
Life with
Yeah.
Louis. He
Yeah.
looks like Life with Louis. Every time I see him, I see Life
that he
with
does
Louis.
actually look a lot like Louis.
Now I gotta look it up, man.
He looks exactly like Louis Anderson, actually.
Yeah, he does.
Holy
He looks
crap.
yeah, it does. Anyways,
Oh my God.
every time I see him, I think about it. But like why are they green? And so I think that there's like, I think whoever was ultimately behind the the story.
Oh my God! Someone did a side by side.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
Did they?
Somebody did
it.
Yeah.
Where? Okay, we gotta see it. We gotta see it.
Just Google Life with Louis Akira Kid, and it's the very first one, side by side.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I see every time I fucking see him. I don't know. I think part of that is I don't know. I think there's just a sensationalism with weirdness in some of these animes, and I think that I don't know if there was a purpose for their skin color tone changing, or the fact that they wear suits when they're little kids, and then they, I don't know.
Monkey said that they use drugs to stunt their growth, and like that's what changed their skin tone and made them look old. They're actually they're not actually children, apparently. They're way older. Like they were that age when when Akira exploded like 20 years earlier, apparently.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. See, I didn't pick up on any of that from the movie. Maybe I just missed it. Oh, did you throw it up there? God. Anywho,
yeah.
No, the kids are kind of an anomaly to me. I can throw them into certain roles and stuff and everything, but I don't think with what we're just given on the movie that it's, especially for a first time view, that it's really readily apparent what exactly it is. And there's a lot of that throughout the movie. Again, the rushing, of trying to fit so much into so little, even though the artwork's fantastic. What did you guys think about the main character?
Kaneda?
Kaneda.
Yeah, Kaneda. I thought
not Canada.
I kept wanting to say Canada. I mean, I kept thinking they were saying Canada. I thought he was, like you said before, I mean, just like all of us said, he's just not likable. At first, you're like, okay, yeah, he's like this leader, and he's going to be the hero of this movie. But then he's just like a dick. It's like 1 second he shows concern for Tetsuo, then he's like, almost be subservient to me. Like he wants to be like, just overbearing, or he wants to be that leader on top, that's going to be that everybody listens to too, right? It's like, why aren't you listening to me? That type of thing. So never did I actually like him. That was the problem. And it was actually, at times I was a little bit annoyed that, like Tetsuo is this giant, powerful being, and then kind of is like, I'm just going to go and shoot you with this laser gun, and, and I'm just going to take you on. And for some reason, he doesn't, get destroyed by Tetsuo somehow. And Tetsuo wants to destroy him too. So, like, why doesn't that happen, right?
Yeah, that's one thing that's always bothered me about the movie for sure, is the fact that Tetsuo has all this power and he just can't just smash,
right,
like, he has no problem killing like thousands of soldiers, and even the soldiers had those laser weapons. There's a scene where they shoot him at him, and he just reflects them and then like breaks I think that's when the bridge gets broken. He breaks the bridge and fucks them all up. But like, yeah, and there's scenes when they first go to like the kids area, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that compound, they kind of run in, Kaneda and Tetsuo run into each other almost for the first time since Tetsuo has gotten his powers back, and he like blows him up basically. Like he blows him and the girl up. Like the ground explodes beneath them and they go flying or whatever, and then like they're pretty much good to go in like the next scene. I mean, I think they do like a little limp or something, and then they're fine. But then they meet at the stadium, and I know that he gets hit by debris and gets beat up here and there, but like it's hard to feel like there's a realistic fight happening when you have this entity with like this crazy psychic power, and this one guy with a laser gun that is proven not to work.
Well, he's consumed by it, and he just shoots his way out of it with the laser gun. You know, at the end too.
I mean, I forgot about that. Yeah, when he gets absorbed and then he's like being crushed. Like, doesn't the one girl die?
Yeah, Tetsuo's girlfriend dies.
Yeah, Tetsuo's girlfriend is smashed. Like she pops, man.
Yeah, exactly. Pops. I feel bad. Like, she's the Barb of Akira, man. I feel so bad.
No, wait. But she was likable.
Yeah, she was okay.
She can't be the Barb because she was likable.
No, and they established Tetsuo's power right off the bat too. And this was probably I don't know. I felt like it was a little bit a mistake because right when Tetsuo comes out of his lab room, he blows those 3 guys up. Their bodies just explode and splatter on the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah,
so
why doesn't he do that?
Do that to anybody.
Yeah, why doesn't he do it to, I guess the only thing is that he doesn't have as much control over the powers as we think. Maybe there's that. Like, maybe. He didn't obviously mean to blow those people up. I think he looked surprised when it happened, and maybe he just doesn't at will have that power, especially when he starts to transform and he starts to lose control sitting on his throne there. I can see where there's an argument made that he couldn't do that because he simply didn't have as much discipline and control over his powers.
Yeah, I can see that because he doesn't kill the bar owner. He doesn't kill. Well, I couldn't tell what he did to the other friend's body, but it looks like they at least took some bodies out that resembled a body, so it wasn't like pieces of bodies that came out of that bar right when they were taking the bodies out. So yeah, maybe you got a point. Maybe he had more control towards the end, and then lost control again, obviously at the very end.
Well, here's what I've always thought about the two of them. I don't know if either of you guys have brothers.
I have a sister, not a brother, but
you don't have a brother. Okay, so neither of you guys have brothers. I have a brother, my little brother, and I can tell you right now that the vibe I get from those two are that of brothers. Obviously, Katsua. Wait, Katsua? No, that's not it. Kaneda. Kaneda is the older brother, and Tetsuo is the little brother. And it almost explains the dickish nature of him to him while he's like, I care about you, I love you, but at the same time, I'm going to keep you down and I'm going to pick on you and I'm going to treat you like shit. It's very like, especially with me and my brother, it is very much like that, especially when we were younger. Like I used to pick on my brother all the fucking time. But if anybody else picked on my brother, I would beat the shit out of him. Right? Exactly. Like it's that really dual mentality. And I think that's what they were going for with the movie. And for me being an older brother, in the main character, I had some connection there. Like some connection there made me understand his relationship with Tetsuo, and also the fact that he's got a sense of responsibility for Tetsuo also, since he's in his biker gang. There's like a camaraderie there through the biker gang where Kaneda feels responsible also, which is I think the only reason he keeps up with, keeps going. I mean, he goes and fights him like 3 times.
He does. He does.
But he's always trying to save him. He's always trying to be like, I think until the very end where he's finally like, all right, this is my 3rd time coming here. Like, now I'm just going to try to fucking kill you or stop you, But he really does try to help him. But it's always kind of been like a man up kind of way. It's always in like you're acting like a kid, fucking be an adult, like stop being stop being a pussy, like that kind of thing, that older brother talk, And he's
still talking like that when the guy's like this enormous blob that's like destroying the world. And
but you kind of have to, like, if my little brother were to develop psychic powers, and I have the kind of relationship I do with my brother, and I saw my brother like corrupt everything, even if I was gonna get killed, even in this face, like if it was somebody else, I might be like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's gonna do. But because of my relationship with my brother, I feel like I have the power to be like, hey, you piece of shit. You're fucking everything up. This is supposed to be the Olympic Stadium.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of, even though it's a terrible movie. Did you watch the movies Pixels? The one with Adam Sandler? You remember with the Pac-Man guy? Remember when the Pac-Man developer guy goes, oh, you're my little son. Why are you destroying the city or whatever, right? And it's like, and he's like reaches out his hand, right, and then the Pac-Man just bites off his arm. That for some reason that reminds me of that.
I've never seen.
You've never seen Pixel? Okay. It's like an
Don't
Adam
watch
Sandler.
it. It's fucking horrible.
It's terrible.
So bad.
It's terrible, but for some reason it reminds me of
that. Wait, it's got everyone I hate in it.
Yep.
Except you know what I've learned though, except for like the dude who plays Tyrion.
Yeah.
Peter
I've
Dinklage.
noticed,
Peter.
Yes,
he's actually really bad in that movie too. Everyone's just bad in the movie. Like it's just a
Listen,
bad movie.
If it's not Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage fucking sucks to me. Like there's so many movies that I've seen him in that I'm like, you're a fucking horrible actor. Like you know,
no, he's an asshole. He's an asshole in every single role.
Ever since Game of Thrones, he's been like typecast in like comedy movies. But watch him in The Station Agent, like one of his first big breakout roles, and he's exceptional. He doesn't have a whole lot of lines. It's mostly like emoting, but he's really, really good.
Yeah, I guess just between the voice acting that he did in Destiny when it first came out.
Oh God!
And
voice acting? What acting?
I see pixels here, and it looks really bad. Voice talking exactly. But there's another movie. There's like a night movie that he's. Anyways, that movie looks like Kevin James and Adam Sandler and anything makes me want to fucking vomit.
So I hate to. I'm sorry for that tangent, but anyways, getting back to Akira.
No, let's keep talking about Adam Sandler.
That might have to be the bad movie we end up doing. But no, but with Canada, for me, it's just like there was no point to his character in the end. It's like, what was the point to all of him?
Yeah,
he didn't have any factor in the movie. Like
they just yelled at each other mostly. Like,
what was the point of what?
What was the point of Canada's character in the end?
He was trying to stop Tetsuo. But
I know, but he doesn't stop him, and he
doesn't actually accomplish anything.
I was like,
really.
please drive that motorcycle into the blob and just like peel out and just destroy like a big section of him. Because I was like, surely that motorcycle is special, right? Something about that motorcycle's got to be special. Yeah. And then like nothing happens with that either. So it's just kind of like, okay, well,
I guess you have a point.
It's just like there's no point to you, like. Literally,
I can see that. I guess if there can be arguments made that the point of the character is to show that even somebody as close as Kaneda with Tetsuo couldn't have stopped him. You know, like his girlfriend. Okay, your girlfriend's your girlfriend. You have that special relationship with them, but they're not necessarily the same kind of relationship you might have with family. And I think that again, Kaneda represents that, and the fact that Tetsuo still even though like. It can be argued that also their relationship led to Tetsuo losing control. You know, that living in his shadow was so unbearable and he felt so weak and so held down for so long that is what pushed him over the edge as well. So it's like it could go two ways with that. It could either be that, hey, he's just crazy and he's so crazy he's willing to kill his own family or, you know, at least ignore his own family. Or alternately, he's the catalyst for the whole fucking, you know, overuse of the power and ultimately the transformation at the end, you know, he's just the catalyst for the problem just because of the way he treated him, you know. So but other than that, I mean, and that's me kind of playing devil's avocado.
Yeah, of course,
me kind of playing devil's avocado. But like, I think that honestly, maybe there isn't a point to the character other than to drive the story, you know, because again, like you said, there's no like, he doesn't save him at the end, you know.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
I mean, you know, when I'm going into the movie too, and it's maybe that this has a little bit to do with my expectations. You know, a lot of the, you know, like the posters of Akira and whatnot, they all have Kaneda on it, right? And it's just like, okay, he must be the hero of this movie, or he must be the main character in this movie. But in reality, he's not. You know, Tetsuo is the main character in this movie, and he's not a good character, but he really is the main character. So I don't know. It was a little bit of, I don't know, I was maybe misled a little bit just going into it, or misled like leading into the movie, and maybe that, you know, that affects my at least reaction to Kaneda at the end.
I can see that 100% because you're right. They do put him as like the main character, like he's
so good looking.
Well, and even this, you know, well, not only that, but traditionally in with Japanese heroes, wearing red signifies heroic, you know, deeds. Like There's a lot of examples, like even like Devil May Cry, he wears that red long trench coat, like there's a certain amount of heroes in Japanese I want to say media, but that's not really the word. Japanese art, that whether it's book form, whatever, that wear red. So I can it kind of follows that forward, but then it doesn't really. I mean, he tries to stop him, but like he doesn't really stop him. Like he doesn't. So I can see where you would feel a little gypped, when it comes to the heroic aspect of the character. Again, I don't think the character's really the draw for the movie.
Yeah,
I think the characters are all pretty weak, to begin with.
Yeah.
I like this movie simply for the fucking attention to detail and the art. Like that's.
I mean,
really
it was still. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I still enjoyed the movie. I mean, it's not that I didn't.
Yeah.
But what we're picking right now, so I know a lot of people love this movie. So I don't want it to come off that we like hated this movie or anything like that. But just our normal critical selves. Our normal critical selves are
magnum
like
opus. Like it's definitely flawed.
Yeah.
And I think, and like honestly, most of the flaws have to do with the fact that they're adapting a giant fucking volume of information into a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, this is your classic problem. But we haven't even, so we're kind of running pretty long in time, but we haven't even talked about just the end. Okay, so what happens to Tetsuo? Because this is like, I feel like the big...
He ascends to Valhalla with Akira, duh.
I mean, it's just, okay, so there are like all these different interpretations on the internet right now, and some people think he goes to another universe, like a parallel universe or a different one altogether. Some of them think he becomes a god, and then a god in this new universe, kind of like Akira's a god. So so what do you guys think?
I mean, I have no theory. I really don't. It's one of those things where it's so ambiguous that you can't really, like, to form a theory would be purely for entertainment, but at the end of the day, that it could be one of many fucking things,
right.
I honestly, every time I get to the end of the movie, I just throw my hands up and go, well, that's Akira, like I don't even really think about it anymore. It's a lot like Evangelion. If you ever seen Evangelion, like the end of Evangelion, for those of you who have seen it, it's like, it's almost asinine to try to ascertain the understanding of what exactly happens at the end, because I think it's ambiguous on purpose, like what exactly happened. But I mean, if I had to make a guess, if I, just personally, what Adam or Ellohime thinks, I think that they merged. I think that they merged into whatever being that Akira is. I think that it has to do with like a coming of a great power every so often, almost like a Christ-like figure, like the birth and death, the rebirth, that kind of thing. I think that it's kind of like, again, this may be going back to my biblical thing, but like a Holy Ghost, the Father, the Son kind of thing. And that they just merged into an ultimate power is what I think. But who the fuck knows? That's my interpretation of it. But even that is shoddy because it's, it is what it is. What do you think, Chan?
Man,
I feel like you've got something here.
I actually don't really have that much either, but I mean, he does say something like, I am Tetsuo or something at the end, which is the only part that like makes you think about it just a little bit. And I think that's why there's a lot of people that talk about it, because if he didn't say anything, I'd be like, oh, okay, he just, I don't know, whether he merged or Akira just gets rid of him completely, from this world or whatever, he's just gone. And I like don't really need to think much about it. But like as he's going away, he does say something, and I believe it. He said something like, I am Tetsuo. So it makes you think about, like, I mean, he's going to retain at least himself. So I'm not sure about the merger thing. I feel like he's still going to be an entity somewhere else. So my thoughts are he's either in an alternate universe. I don't know if he's a god or anything like that, but I think he's probably in an alternate universe, still being, this crazy energy that is still Tetsuo. Still an entity that's Tetsuo, but not, but I don't know, just whatever he's going to be in this other universe. So I don't know. At least that's my take on it. That's the only reason I even think that is because there's that little bit of dialogue at the very end by him If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't think anything.
I don't know.
It might be too much, yeah. But like you said, it's very ambiguous though. It could literally be anything.
Yeah. Do we have any callers?
I don't think so.
Callers?
Anybody want to call in? Yeah, guys.
Any
join the
gentlemen
Discord.
callers?
We haven't really been asking very actively either. If you guys want to have some comments on Akira or want to throw in some tidbits into the discussion, go ahead and join this Discord channel. And Monkey Overlord's sitting in there. He'll get you ready. I mean, might not even get ready much. As long as you have a mic and you're muting the stream and you've got something interesting to ask us or give us, then we'll pull you on.
Not a huge requirement.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. Akira should be, it should draw
pretty
a lot
polarizing.
Yeah, exactly. Should draw a lot of things.
Yeah, there's I mean, I feel like there's other things that we haven't even talked about, but I feel like we've hit on the big stuff at least, or the things that I always go into the show with like a mental list of things that I want to touch on, and I feel like we've touched on all those. Oh, except I didn't mention this live. I mentioned this like right before we went live. I made this connection and I didn't even fucking think about it. Just a little funny thing. In 2013, Tokyo was decided to be the Olympic. They decided to host the Olympic Games in 2020 and Tokyo. Yep. And in this movie, they are setting up for the Olympic Games, like the same Olympic Games, a year. It's supposed to be like a year prior to when they actually set up the Olympic Games. So that's why they're building that stadium and everything. That's all that construction. So it happenstance, we are getting the same Olympic Games in Tokyo that is in the movie, basically, which is kind of weird. So hopefully no crazy entities pop up and biological body masses in 2019. Thank God. Hopefully that doesn't happen. That's kind of those weird, it's like one of those really, really weird happenstances where like the movie accurately reflects the like reality. Like it almost happened with like Back to the Future, with like the Cubs winning the World Series. Like they were only off like a couple of years or something. I think Back to the Future was. There's little things that pop up and it's really interesting. I don't know if anybody else can think of an example, but it's pretty interesting when stuff like that happens. It's almost like when movies predict the future like perfectly, like accurately.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I don't think
think we
have any. Yeah, I don't think we have any. We have a lot of people saying stuff in chat. Just nobody wants to, I think, hop on.
It's tough, man. It's tough getting in front of people. I know it takes a little bit of courage.
You don't realize that sometimes. Like we've been doing it for so long.
Honestly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but no, I'm always reminded when I have to actually get in front of people, like at a convention or something. Like if I do a panel or I do a Q&A or whatever, like being in front of this camera, like this equals however many people that are out there. It's just one lens to me,
exactly.
But then when you get in front of everyone, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I know
there's only like 50 to 100 people there sitting and watching. You're like, I stream to like 10 to 20 times more people, and I don't get nervous, but being in front of them is a little different. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah, why don't we talk about next week? So, again, like Ellohime was saying in the very beginning, what we do is, a book club. So, of course, we got to give you guys a homework assignment, what to check out this week, so you can join us next week and talk about it with us. And next week's assignment is Billions, which is a show that I chose because it's one of my favorite shows that's currently on TV. I mean, there's a ton of great shows, but this one is pretty different than everything else out there because it deals with the financial sector. So, we're talking about like, somebody in the U.S. Attorney's office versus, a big venture capital or a big fund owner, or fund runner that's, a little corrupt. And then you kind of just see the interaction between them on Billions. Do you guys know anything about Billions? I didn't even get a chance to really talk to you guys.
No, I have no idea.
Really? Oh man. Okay. You're going to like this then.
I have no clue. Where can we find it?
You can find it on Showtime. So the first season's over. You can find it on, I'm pretty sure you can find it on Well, it's on Showtime. I have to look exactly to see where the different places to find it are.
Let me see. I'm looking up right now. Where should
a lot of Showtime's shows are also part of like Amazon Prime deal, I think. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it.
I think somebody says Hulu.
Or Hulu. Yes, Hulu just popped up with a hit. So.
Yeah, and the actual pilot for this show is so good. Like this is like one of the best pilots I think for any of the shows that I've seen on TV, especially recently, because it I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it next week, but the pilot I think is really, really good. So if you guys can catch it, I think the pilot's even on YouTube. I think it's available on YouTube if you want to even just catch that. But yeah, anyways, it's great. It's got Paul Giamatti and Damian Lewis in it. Check it out. The season 2 started, but there's only been 1 season to date.
I don't know why, but the side of that guy's face makes me think Vin Diesel in that picture.
Who?
I'm like Vin Diesel.
Which one?
The guy on the right.
On the right. Damian Lewis?
Yeah, obviously not fucking Paul Giamatti.
I was like, Paul Giamatti, Vin Diesel. That's a freaking first.
Paul Giamatti is like up there with, not to be mean, but one of the most unattractive men in Hollywood, I feel like. That and like Steve Buscemi. Like,
Steve Buscemi. Oh my goodness.
There's no comparing them ever to Vin Diesel, is what I'm trying to say. The God, the chiseled Adonis.
I know, seriously, man.
Anywho.
All right, well, why don't we wrap up as a good show? Are we gonna be back next week, or are you guys gonna be out? I forget.
I should be good. Then the following 2 weeks after that, I'm gonna be very busy.
Got PAX and
the 23rd is definitely a go for next week.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week.
The week after that, maybe not, because GDC. So
yeah, so maybe we pick something that takes a little bit longer to watch or whatever. Maybe a show that has a couple seasons, or I don't know, some type of graphic novel or something. I don't know, but if we have 2 weeks, then maybe we can play around with some different things.
I'm down.
All right, cool. Addiction, want to do some shout outs? Where can people find you?
Hi, I'm Eat My Addiction. You can find me at twitch.tv/eatmyaddiction1. I stream like 6 days a week. I'll be streaming tonight. I think I'm going to be doing some more Bully. I try to finish that game. And yeah, that's me.
Oh, wait, we got a caller.
Oh, what?
Do we want to take a caller, or do we just wrap up?
You're fucking with the flow of the show.
Oh, I know, but I just feel bad because I'm not sure if I saw this message really, really quickly.
Wait, did somebody actually show up to take the call and then you didn't see it? And so,
well, Monkey just messaged me that we actually have a caller. So I'm like, well, actually he's gone now. So never mind. Right. I'm just crazy. I'm crazy, stupid, terrible host. Ellohime, do some shout outs.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow morning. I had a plan to stream Sniper Elite 4, but I don't know. My management team is like, don't do it because there might be an opportunity. So I'm like, I don't know what we're doing tomorrow morning, but we're gonna stream tomorrow morning. It could be, I know this is kind of a very open time, but it could start at midnight or 4 a.m. One of the two. It depends on Junie. If Junie's down and she's asleep and everything's good, dude, midnight start and we'll just go all night. Because I didn't stream this morning. Or 4 a.m. and we'll just go for a normal, regular, 5 hour, 6 hour stream. I've been playing a lot of For Honor, which has been a lot of fun. It's been super fun. I've been enjoying it as well as raging out at it. So if it's not Sniper Elite, it'll probably be that, or there's an opportunity that we might be able to jump on the Conan server and actually check out. I know a lot of you guys have been building on the Conan server and you guys have really wanted me to stream it and check it out. So I know you guys are excited about it. So give me some time. I will figure it out. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be soon. But yeah, anyways, that's what I'm doing. What about you, Chan?
You can find my shows and all that good stuff on twitch.tv/ChanManV, Twitter, same thing at ChanManV, YouTube also, ChanManV. And for those who don't know, I do other gaming related talk shows, as well as a game show in the Overwatch and Hearthstone space. So you can check those out. Value Town's on Wednesday, which is the Hearthstone one, and then the overview is on Tuesday, which is the Overwatch one. And then, of course, this will be on youtube.com/ChanManV too, the VODs for this, as well as all 16 of the previous episodes that we've done. And we're also available on iTunes too, guys, which I feel like people don't realize we still are, because we don't get very many people on audio, but we're available there. We're also available on SoundCloud too. So definitely, if you are more of an audio listener, check us out there. And if you like us, leave us a good review too, because people can find us a little bit better. Oh, another thing too, I started the movies Twitch community. And if any of you guys want to help with modding it and, maybe help with some ideas for it. I mean, I'm not sure what I can really do with it outside of, I made it look nice with the banners and, and everything like that. But, and if you guys do any kind of movie related streams, use that community, because that's kind of why I started it. I think that's why I'm using it today, like with this. But yeah, just anyways, let me know. Just message me on Twitch, I guess, or just tweet me, one of those ways. Okay, that's going to be it, guys, for spoiler alerts this week. So for Eat My Diction, Ellohime, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.
Later.